Hi everyone, this is me again. Um, I wanted to do an update on my Fauxdori. I had filmed the other day. And so I've been working on this a little bit. So I wanted to show you what I've done with my. Oh, excuse for the shakiness and stuff, but I've been working on this. And what I decided to do is I'm going to journal my adventure from my early days. So that my daughters and my son will have something to look back at when I'm no longer here. So they know a little bit about my past, not in detail, but maybe this will help them. And so if you don't want to listen to this, it might be kind of boring, so I'm just kind of warning you. But anyway, so my life started out in Japan. I'm somewhere in Japan. I'm not sure where because I'm from an orphanage. I was adopted when I was about 4 years old. So anyway, this first picture here is my first Christmas in the States with my new adoptive parents. This is my mom. Excuse the laundry in the back. This was at my grandmother's house, and this was my first day in America, and with my new mom. Um, I was in an orphanage that was really, really poor in Japan. We didn't have electricity, running water, heating, sinks, anything. We, cooked on a fire, made our own fire and stuff. We didn't have toys to play with, and we didn't have very much food to eat also. But anyway, all of a sudden one day when they told me I was going to go to the States, and I didn't really understand what that meant. But anyway, so I was just kind of taken from my friends and stuff and boarded on a plane, which I'd never seen before. So anyway, was on the Japan Airlines, and I remember stopping off in Juneau, Alaska, before going onwards to San Francisco International. And the situation was where I was originally adopted by a relative, so it was my aunt's sister-in-law, and she had adopted two children, myself and a baby boy, that traveled with me on the plane, which I had to take care of, during our long flight. Well, she had decided after just only a few weeks that she wanted to keep the baby, and she wanted to send me back to Japan because she couldn't handle both of us. So my uncle didn't have the heart to send me back. So he was checking around to see where he could place me, and came across my mom, who couldn't have children, so they decided to adopt me. This is a picture of the only things that I brought with me from Japan was this pink straw basket. I still have that one to this day. It's all tattered and stuff, but that's the only thing I had was in that basket. I had a pair of old shoes that weren't even mine, an old torn up dress, and a kokeshi doll, which is a Japanese wooden doll. That was all my possession. And that's what I came with. So anyway, my aunt kept the baby. I'm not sure if he's related to me or not, but I was never allowed to see him. And anytime we went to visit, she made sure that we called first so that the baby could be gone. And thus she changed all his records and stuff so that if he ever were to look, he would not know that he's adopted. So, and then in the Japanese culture, you don't disobey your elders. So I would never, to this day, disrespect her and try to look him up. So anyway, kind of a sad story. So I may or may not have a brother. That would be my only sibling. This is my elementary school that I went to. And this is my middle school. I found this on the internet. I took a picture of that. And this is my high school. I'm in the class of 72. And then what I did for my children is I wanted to kind of let them know what was going on during the 60s. So this is a picture of an old television set, which looks identical to the one my dad had. And when I first met my dad, for the very first time, he was watching boxing on television, and it really freaked me out because I just saw these moving people inside a box, and I thought they were real people inside the box. And so that was my first introduction to the television. This was the identical picture of the camera that my dad had. Needless to say, the quality of the pictures weren't very good during that time. It was all black and white. So my parents really never did take a whole lot of pictures. So I don't have a whole lot of pictures of my childhood and stuff. So this is, I wanted to let my children know what was happening during the 60s. So for those of you who could remember, Twiggy was a model from Britain, and she was a sensation here in the U.S., and everybody wanted to look like her and have her haircut and do her makeup like her eyes and stuff. And she was super, super popular. And then this is the type of dress that a lot of the kids were wearing during the time, because it was during the hippie Haight-Ashbury Day. There was also the war in Vietnam, which was really sad. That was my first experience with war. My dad would have the television on all the time during dinner, and we would see live footage of our men getting killed. Nowadays they don't do that. They don't have the actual news people go out into the field to report, but back then they used to actually have them out there in the field, and you could see all this gory stuff happening, which is pretty vivid for a young child. So anyway, I remember that. And I wanted to also let them remember John F. Kennedy. Not that they haven't studied that in school, but I actually was in school when he was assassinated, and we were told through a window washer what had happened. And so as a small child, I watched the nation go into mourning over the president, and I saw Mrs. Kennedy and her small children, and it just really broke my heart and really touched me, because it was days and days and days of coverage. The funeral plus reliving his story and everything, so that was a really sad moment. And so was the moment when his brother Robert was also assassinated. That also happened in the 60s. And of course, Martin Luther King. I remember watching him do his nonviolent peace walks, and being arrested, and I saw on the news where you know, the black population were being discriminated and being mistreated. And it was just an awful time, and it was on the news a lot too. And my parents didn't really explain a whole lot, so I had to try to kind of understand this in my own mind. But anyway, I remember seeing him going through all these struggles to try to get the rights for the blacks. So I watched the civil rights movement, and it was an everyday news coverage, along with the Vietnam War and everything. So then, to lighten up the tone, I went and I did some of the TV shows that I used to like to watch. The Monsters, I don't know if you guys remember that. Mod Squad, of course Batman, the original Batman. Star Trek, of course. I Dream of Jeannie. And I put down the Beverly Hillbillies because my grandmother really liked them. She didn't understand English very well, and she would ask me questions like, what does it mean? And stuff like that, and used to crack me up. But anyway, my grandma and I used to watch it. I don't know what intrigued her about this show, but she loved it, so we would sit and watch this together. So I will always remember that. Then, of course, Woodstock. So what I did is I listed some of the groups that were performing at that 3-day concert. There were a total of 32 artists that performed for the 3 days. But anyway, I remember that vividly. And of course, the monkeys. And the story behind that is I had this terrible crush on Davy Jones. And I had written him a letter asking him to come to my middle school play. And I would give him free tickets. And I was just heartbroken because he never responded back. So anyway, I had a huge crush on him. But then, of course, the Beatles, everybody had a crush on them. I had a crush on Paul. And recently I saw him in concert here in our city, and I was just thrilled because he's been my heartthrob for years. But anyway, and here's some interesting facts that you might want to see that there. I wrote them down. You know, the cost of the home back then was $12,000. Gas prices was 25 cents. It was just, and so I wrote some of this stuff down for my kids to hopefully appreciate. And then, of course, in the 70s, we have Saturday Night Fever, and these are the Bee Gees, and of course, John Travolta. So anyway, that's what I did so far, and I'm going to just go through these pages and chronicle some of the things from the 80s and the 90s, then 2000, and plus put my children's pictures in there. When they were born and all that stuff. So I thought it would just be kind of interesting for my children. I don't know if they're going to be interested in this or not, but I have always wanted my mom to do something like this for me. So I guess I'm sentimental that way. But anyway, so I hope this was sort of interesting for you guys. And thank you so much for watching if you stayed through and watched this. Bye-bye.